Cryptilians, crypto crackheads. Today is Friday, July 16th, 2021, and you're about to get timified. Please turn it up to ×2 playback speed or 1.5 times playback speed for your viewing pleasure. Initiation of timification. Let's get it. This video is going to be about Ethereum because it seems like it is taking turns leading the market with Bitcoin, and it appears that it recently just pulled Bitcoin down. So I was talking about Ethereum falling off this battle line, essentially created by the candles of these two important weeks right here, with the candle / wick of these candles here. And so I realized that structurally, Ethereum's battle line that I assumed was the battle line, it was structurally way higher than what Bitcoin's battle line is. So if you go to Bitcoin, structurally, I'm focusing on this market cycle structure, this support area to upper price action, right? So this support area. And that would be equivalent to this support area on Ethereum, right here. So this battle line that I had was well above that, but on Bitcoin, the battle line's kind of like in the middle here, and it's formed by the 2-week candles right there. And Bitcoin has been very, very obviously using that as a battle line. So when I said that Ethereum is falling off its cliff right here, really, maybe this is actually just going to its battle line for the first time. So if Ethereum cannot hold this, that means, in fact, its battle line all along, it still hasn't touched it. It's just going to use the same battle line that Bitcoin's using. And Bitcoin's just going to keep trading sideways or even lower maybe as Ethereum gets to where Bitcoin is now structurally. So if Ethereum can't hold this line, the chance that it comes all the way down to here with a bounce or two on the way there, down to its previous market cycle high of about 1395, if it doesn't hold this, the chances of it hitting this line within a month or two is pretty high, if not faster than that. But these are weekly candles, so it could take a couple months with probably a bounce, here and then down. You probably get a bounce somewhere in this area of interest with this candle body, that candle body, that candle body, that candle. Yeah, you probably get a bounce there. And it could hold up there, actually, so I'll make another line. But I would make this a thinner line because I think it offers less support than down here. So I will make that thin and be good to go. So structurally, that's what I'm seeing on Ethereum. Very, very simple analysis on horizontals. If it breaks this horizontal, it's coming down to this one. If it breaks this horizontal, it comes down to this one. Those are the levels to be watching. And on Ethereum, they're based off of weekly candle bodies. Now, if you want to zoom in on this line and look at all the price action it's gotten, so you can see, like, is this line actually real? Let's go into maybe the 15-minute time frame and look at all the interaction that price has had, to a pretty exact level here. So let's just start looking at this. So even on small time frame, bounced off it, had a big charge through it after losing it. Resistance. Using it as resistance right now. So if Ethereum price could come above this line that's at 1923, it'll probably come back down to check it as support. Or it could go up higher and use this structure area as support. But regardless, if Ethereum does go up, it's probably going to retrace down to one of these two levels again. So that's how I'm seeing Ethereum price, but we're focused more on this line right now and how, it gets price on lower time frames. So over here, it was more of a range, like in this area, but you can see a lot of the support areas and resistance areas match up with this line almost to the T on smaller time frames. So there's definitely something to this line, and if Ethereum loses it, it's probably going to lose it pretty fast, and it'll probably accelerate down. And right now it does look like Ethereum's losing it. It crashed through it and is now using it as resistance, it seems. So if Ethereum goes down to here, it's almost definitely going to pull Bitcoin down as well, which I'll do an analysis, its own analysis on Bitcoin. But what you're going to want to look for, especially if you want to be, if you want to consider more bullish cases, is simply, just as the analysis so far has been very simply with horizontals, you can simply put on EMAs and keep on the daily, just keep on 3, take price off, and look at where they are. So Ethereum has these big levels to cross on the way up. They're going to be big points of resistance. Whoops. The daily 10 and 200 are at the same point, so that's going to be very hard for price to get over. And the daily 55 is almost always an obstacle. At least it is for Bitcoin. Yeah, you can see how it, so you can actually see how it made perfect resistance here, almost perfect resistance at multiple points. Couldn't close above, came up, wicked to it, wicked above, couldn't stay above, right? So on Ethereum, if you're looking out for bullish scenarios, the very first scenario is getting above the 200 and the 10 at the same time and closing above both of them. And avoiding that, maybe not avoiding completely, but it could go like this. The red could end up doing this. But you want to see Ethereum start to close above these two lines as they're potentially crossing. Because this is a bad bearish cross that could lead to a big drop. And that big drop will go at least down to that next horizontal as we saw earlier. But this is going to be what you're looking for if you're looking for a bullish move. Now, on Ethereum and Bitcoin, you do have a fresh Stoch cross, which has a strong likelihood of staying crossed since price hasn't even gotten that bullish and hasn't moved very much. And fresh Stochs that stick, fresh Stoch crosses on the day that stick, they produce, decent sized moves. So it's, it's stuck after this cross here, and it made a pretty, a very, very tradable move, which is what could be shaping up at this moment. That was roughly, a 40% move. So those are the primary and very simple things that I would be looking for in Ethereum's price action short term. Long term, though, let's just use the daily 55 EMA and look at historically what this means for Ethereum's price. Look how well over time that once it's below, it stays stuck below. It got above there, and it even used it as, it even came down to check it as support. Massive bull trap, but use it as resistance. Couldn't get past it. Wicked up to it. Couldn't get past it. So when it's stuck below, that's a downtrend. When you're using it as support, you're in an uptrend. Again, in this downtrend, it used it as its upper resistance. So the 55 means a lot to Ethereum price. And I think that could be kind of like, I don't know if I would say the ultimate test, but you could label this very simple, this very simple analytic tool as the ultimate test for Ethereum and potentially for Bitcoin too, but I'll cover that in a different video later today. But Ethereum doesn't even have a chance to get there if it can't close some candles clearly above the daily 10 and 200. So Ethereum's price action, I feel, is very tradable in both ways. It's pretty clear cut and dry because there is no Wyckoff accumulation stuff happening here. You had a blow off top, which was manipulation, which I've covered in many videos. This was not retail buy pressure. This was to convince people Bitcoin was done correcting, so everybody was bullish, so then they could short the market and then crash it, right? Like this was part of it, and that's partly why I got fooled. I thought Bitcoin would not make a lower high at 58K because this was just too bullish, and I thought the market was good to go again for another little run, perhaps Bitcoin up to 110K, but this was all to fool people, right? So manipulation goes up too. So Ethereum's, trading Ethereum right now is actually a hell of a lot easier than trading Bitcoin. It's following basic rules and not having just massive fake outs based on traditional trading rules. This is looking pretty clear cut and dry. If it fails this, it's coming down to here. will likely get some bounce and has a strong chance of coming all the way down to here. So just level by level. And you can tell if it's going to get, squeezed to that level, because if it has a nice run up here and gets rejected, well, what do you think is going to happen? Once it hits this again, test it, it could easily break through, as opposed to getting rejected, come down and trying it one more time from a lower posturing. So it looks like Ethereum's analysis is much more tradable than Bitcoin's. So therefore, if Ethereum is going to, move in the general market direction as Bitcoin, it might be easier to follow Ethereum in order to understand where the market's getting ready to go. Because Bitcoin is full of trap after bull trap, then bear trap, bull trap, then bear trap. It's hard to make a prediction, and price action is just too, consolidated within a 5% zone trading range, and Ethereum's trading range is a lot bigger. So because it's bigger, the when as you zoom in on something, things become more obvious, and it's easier to zoom in on price here because it's bigger. It's got bigger ranges, right? So the plays might be more obvious, even if you decide to play Bitcoin or are making decisions with other altcoins on when to begin dollar cost averaging in, or whatever your case is. You might consider Ethereum as the market leader right now, or the de facto, market leader, because Bitcoin's full. It has puppeteers pulling some strings and creating some weird stuff. So it's possible to circumvent these whales that are playing games with price here and suppressing it to accumulate it, which is the theory. So as they're doing that, a way to circumvent all that trickiness is staring at Ethereum. So that's my case for Ethereum right now. And until Bitcoin is closing above all-time highs, I'll probably cover Ethereum more regularly here. And there's just more news around Ethereum in general as well. So that's what I got for Ethereum. Ethereum has very simple, traditional trading things. You don't have to use fancy analytics for this right now. It's pretty clear, cut, and dry for the moment, and that could change. And if it changes, my analysis will change. Let's take a look at a couple more things here real quickly, though. So some things of concern or some things of hope. So on the weekly RSI, you have a general trend line, and Ethereum's getting pretty close to it. So if Ethereum could come down one more time for next week, which it doesn't, the price doesn't have to necessarily come down too much for that to happen. Because price's strength relative to the strength up here will still be lower, and it should head down more, even if price doesn't get too crazy bad. But you might be looking at this at Ethereum too. It's possible that a bounce on both Bitcoin and Ethereum will happen when Ethereum bounces off that in another week. The next tick, at the end of next week. So that's something to keep your eye on Ethereum as well. And if it does come down here, that could coincide either with this week closing here, red, next week starting off red, coming back up and still closing above this line, but you still have a small red candle. Then the RSI could hit that line, that trend line, and bounce up without a lot of nasty price action, and that would mean another week and another full week in 2 days from now of choppy sideways action. And if Ethereum can bounce off that, so would Bitcoin if Ethereum truly does bounce, because Bitcoin's not going to leave itself behind Ethereum, right? If Ethereum can do that, if Ethereum truly is the market leader. So on the weekly EMAs here, let me pull these up. So another thing to be looking out for on Ethereum is to avoid this cross. So you have the weekly 10 getting close to crossing the weekly 21. And price is below the 21, which means this 10 is moving faster than the 21. It's going to come down faster, and it's going to cross, probably within 2 weeks if Ethereum can't do some work. So over the next 2 weeks, what you need to be looking for is the weekly 21. To get a candle closing above there is going to be pretty integral, and that could help lead the charge up for the entire market if Ethereum can do that. And what's current price doing right now? it's pretty far below. So before it does that, it has to close above the daily 10 and the daily 21, which are down here, and then it's got to get above here. But over the next couple weeks, that's what you're going to have to look for if price isn't going to scream down. Because this cross usually has some pretty big effects. At least it does on Bitcoin. I haven't double checked that for Ethereum, but we're going to find out here. So price came down before the cross. It tried to avoid the cross and couldn't maintain, and then it crossed, and then price just kept going down from there. And after that point, price could not get above the red line for quite a long time because it did not avoid that cross. That's one way to see it. Like, that's not the reason why, right? But that's one way to view EMAs. So it lost this. It got squeezed out of that play. Now price is under it as it's getting ready to cross, similar to our current scenario. And I have a feeling that price will work to avoid that. Now, whether it holds that and then or fails, I don't know. But I have a feeling that Ethereum is going to try to do this. So this is technically a different scenario because the price drop happened at the squeeze play between the red. So the red and yellow actually squeezed it, but currently price just tanked below both of them. Is trying to work its way up as the red line's coming. So let's see if we can find a example of that in the past, of it totally avoiding a cross. Nope, here, I mean, it got squeezed out again. It didn't just tank through. Here we go. Well, this is some hopium. Look at that. So price tanked through well before the cross, I guess. Yeah, because it was above it and then way below it. And then, even though this isn't quite exactly the same, then it worked to not avoid the cross, but to undo that cross. And it actually did successfully. So I don't think there's a time in Ethereum's price history where this exact type of scenario has happened. However, what you're going to be looking for is, in general essence, if you're looking on a weekly time frame, is that Ethereum has a habit, either after a cross or before a cross, to try to undo that cross and get above it. And in bear markets, that typically leads to a bull trap, and then price gets stuck under the 10 for a long period of time. So over the next couple months, looking at the weekly candles on Ethereum is going to be extremely important. And again, using extremely basic trading tools. Extremely basic. This looks pretty easy to trade, folks. Now, trading's never easy. I don't want to say that. But it's a lot less challenging looking than what Bitcoin is right now. And it's probably going to follow these simple trading rules without much fakery to one way or another. However, it looks like it's pressure down. So if Ethereum price does something similar to what it has done in the past every time, it's this red line does come below. It does come below, and that means price keeps going down, maybe all the way down to here. And then after the cross, it works to undo it. So, I mean, if Ethereum moves like it's done the other times in this similar posturing, that means it keeps going down. If it plays out the same as the other reiterations, if you look left. Now, has Bitcoin price been acting like previous Bitcoin price? No, it hasn't. It's behaving totally differently. So Ethereum's price is not mandated by those previous posturings. But it's definitely something to consider. And that would align roughly with the RSI on the weekly, poking its head below that trend line. And wicking past. And then coming back up potentially, if that were to play out. So it'd still be congruent to that. Now, one thing we do have going for us is the Stochs look like they want to level out and then curl back around. But look at this. If it happens like that, look what month that is, September. Now, could it be sharper? Absolutely. It could be sharper, but it could be longer as well with a bull trap. So this isn't going to be very immediate. I mean, just look at the behavior of Stochs down here. Sometimes they do a V, and sometimes they do even more than a rounded. They have just fakery, and it just stays down here in the bearish control area. So we do have a lot of Vs. So if Ethereum's going to turn around, it looks like it's going to do it rather soon. And so for the weekly Stochs, you might also go on your chart of Ethereum, make a line right there, which should coincide if it, you know, if Stochs come all the way down here. What that's going to mean is price is going to hit one of these, is likely going to hit one of these horizontals. And this cross is going to happen. And if Stochs on the weekly curl around before getting to that point, that means holding that horizontal, you know, is what is happening. So you might want to make your line at 6.72 on Ethereum's weekly Stochs and watch that line as well. So I think that is enough very simple, you know, trading techniques to watch to prepare yourself to understand the Ethereum chart with the idea that, you know, it is, let's just consider it a market leader right now. And if it is a market leader, if we can consider it that way, and it's easier to interpret the chart, maybe that's the chart to be watching. Now, is it possible that that base assumption is incorrect? Absolutely. It's possible that Bitcoin's the chart to watch, but I'm thinking Ethereum might be the chart to watch. So if you enjoyed this video, try to remember to hit the like button if you've already subscribed. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comment section whether you want to be a cryptillion or crypto crackhead. If you joined this community, even just, you know, through YouTube, I like to know what crypto pronoun new viewers have chosen. And see you next time.